Hello everyone, it is Toby here, and I just recorded this entire video on action pan mode, so it had no audio, was super slowed down, so we're going to try again. This is my thoughts on the USA Strongman Championship, the Giants Live World Deadlift Championships, the whole Vegas show in general. We're going to run through each event, we're going to give my thoughts, my feelings, my criticisms, what I liked, what I didn't like. I'm going to give a full rundown of the show, my thoughts on it. This isn't going to be something where I talk about the results in depth, anything like that. I'm just going to pick out what I liked, what I didn't like, some performances that stood out to me. So yeah, you guys seem to enjoy when I did this sort of discussion about the strongest man on earth. So we're going to do the same with Giants Live Vegas. So if it is your first time here and you're watching because you are interested in my thoughts on the Giants Live Vegas show, please know that this is not the normal style of content we do on this channel. This is primarily a strongman training channel where I record and show my journey getting into strongman. I started filming my sessions when I first started back in 2020, and since then we've done some competitions. Our deadlifts come on massively, we're getting stronger and stronger, and I don't feel like stopping anytime soon. So if you're wanting to find a more realistic approach to strongman with lots of training, lots of tips, lots of tricks, then go down below, hit subscribe, and go check out all of my other training videos. So with that shameless plug out of the way, and the Giants Live show being a few days ago now, the dust has settled, I've collected my thoughts and I can give them on each event. I've watched a few other guys' thoughts and feelings videos, and yeah, I thought I'd share mine as well. So first up, we had the deadlift, the titular headline event of this show, the World Deadlift Championships. We had some incredible lifts happen here, some very disappointing results for a few people. Let's jump into it straight away and give our thoughts. So first up, my thoughts on the deadlift in general, the setup, what we do. Obviously, everyone would prefer that we had the athletes choose their own jumps. But if we are to have set jumps that every athlete has to do, I think we should have more of them. They should be more spread out, and we should see more of the athletes get spread out across the different points, because obviously this is the first event of a full show. And I just think we have too many ties when we do it like this. So perhaps we have 400, 425, 440, 1,000 pounds, 460, 480, 505. I think that would spread the guys out way better, because perhaps there are some people who could do 425 easily but can't quite do 1,000. Perhaps 440 would have gone. Someone like Eddie Williams, he did 425, he got 1,000 to the knees. If there was a 440 jump in there, could he have done it? Who knows, possibly. Similarly, on the other end of the spectrum, we had Mitch Hooper get 470 fairly easily. Would he have got 460, 480 instead of 1,000 pounds, 470? I think probably. I think if he had 480 as an option, he would have pulled it. And I think going for 505, just to feel it, was going to happen either way, whether he pulled 480 or not. So I think having those jumps in there would separate the guys out way, way more. And it wouldn't take any longer, because after someone's pulled 470, they're going to take 10, 15 minutes before 505 anyway. You may as well put a 480 jump in there. I don't understand why they didn't. So those are my thoughts on what the jumps should be. They should be 400, 425, 440, 1,000 pounds, 460, 470, 480, or even just 460, 480, whatever. Just spread them out a bit more. The guys don't have to do every jump. We'd see a bigger spread of athletes doing different deadlifts. I think that's what it should have been. I know that's a feeling shared across a lot of people, lots and layers, everyone. More jumps, or just have the athletes choose their own jumps. That's that. So on to the performances themselves. We had some awesome performances. Eddie Williams never pulled 400 in competition before, coming out pulling 400 easily, pulling 425 and getting 1,000 pounds to the knees. I mean, come on, that is insane progression. I really want to see Eddie do well. He's such a nice guy, and it's so good to see him perform again and again at this high level. So I really hope when it comes to Worlds next year and some other comps that he gets invited to, he performs really, really well, because he's on that upward trajectory, and I really want to see him do well. And he really impressed me this weekend. So yeah, shout out Eddie Williams. Another standout performance on this deadlift was, of course, Trey Mitchell. I mean, pulling 470 suitless is a record raw. It is mental how he did that. I mean, I think the fixed jump suit tray, because we saw at the Strongest Man on Earth that he sort of limited himself because every pull got easier and easier. So here, having to go for broke showed what he can really do. And I love Trey. His philosophy for Strongman is very in line with my own. He trains alone, just knuckles down, gets it done, doesn't rely on suits, he just gets in, gets it done and smashes it out, fights demons, as he said in his speech, which hit home. He's a great guy and I really, really want to see him do well. And he performed super well across this whole show, and I'm really impressed after his Achilles rupture that he was able to come back and perform at such a high level, and I hope this continues. It's a travesty we're not seeing him at Rogue, so let's hope we see him at some big shows next year. Now for the 505 attempts from the guys. One no one expected to happen was Mitch Hooper going for 505, and I think it was the complete correct decision to give it a bash, because getting 470, he made it look fairly comfortable. Why not go and see how 505 feels? I don't think in his head he thought he'd get it. I think he just wanted to go in, give it a feel, see if it's a feasible goal to go for next year. And I think it is. I mean, he had the best attempt out of all of the guys, even the guys who have trained specifically to go for 505. So give him a few months of specific training, and I think we could see him get it, to be honest. I mean, you don't doubt Mitchell Hooper, do you? So that was a surprise, but a welcome one. Now, the other guys, as soon as Ivan pulled 470, we knew it wasn't going to happen. Same thing that's happened time and time again. Pulls 470, goes for 505, doesn't make it to the knees, then that's that. I think he needs a change of approach. I think he needs perhaps a change of coach. I think he lifts too heavy too often in training. And I think with a proper peak, he has a chance. He's a very, very strong guy, but he's done the same thing every year now. So I just think it's getting a little bit boring, to be honest, watching Ivan come in, get 505 to the knees, whoop-de-doo, you know. Graham Hicks, I feel so bad for Graham. 425 was pulled. I could tell something was off. It didn't move perhaps as good as it possibly could have done. And then we saw what happened on 470. Rocketed off the floor, couldn't lock it out, lost consciousness, and that was the end of the night for Graham. He has since said that he came to Vegas early and he put on about 6 kilo from eating American food. And now, I don't know about you, but if you're going for the biggest payday of your life, going for the biggest record of your life, I don't understand why you jeopardize it by just eating like shit for a few days. You know, I think if you're at this level, you need to be on top of your nutrition. You need to be on top of what you're eating. And it's really disappointing to see, because it's such an easy thing to not do, you know? And I think maybe it was nerves, maybe in his head he knew that he couldn't get it anyway, so he was just there enjoying himself. Maybe training hadn't gone to plan or something. I mean, he sounded very confident, but was that just talk? We don't know. So it's a shame to see, and I'm interested to see whether he'll try it again next year or go back to doing full competitions or retire. I have no idea. I want to see Graham do well, because I like Graham, but yeah, bit of a bizarre approach at the end there for me, and you can see it didn't pay off. So now the person who I thought had the best chance, and honestly I thought would get it after seeing his 470, was Rauno. He pulled 470 like a speed rep. He pulled it super easily. He pulled it as fast as you need to get 505, and it's such a shame because he pulled 505 off the floor, felt a pop in his hamstring, put it right down. You're going to put it right down. Anything goes wrong with a weight like that, your brain just goes, put it down. And it's a shame, because I think if Rauno could hold himself together and stay healthy, he could do 505. He made me believe this weekend, and I think give him another opportunity, and his body stays together, stays healthy, he could do it. He doesn't have many years left to try, because he's already a Masters athlete. You know, the body is getting more and more likely to get injured, so hopefully in the next year or two we can see Rauno really push that deadlift record, because I think he's got it, honestly. After seeing that 470 at the weekend, I think he does. So hopefully he can. But that is my thoughts on the deadlift. Slightly underwhelming, but also seeing Trey hit 470 suitless, seeing Mitch attempt 505. It was really hyped. I stayed up to watch it, and I'm glad I did. It was a great event, and I mean, we can't end the deadlift without talking about Lucy Underdown. I mean, come on. 325 kilo raw for a woman is mental. Like, no suit, 325, looking awesome, and I really hope that in the future we can see more of the girls start to push her, give her a reason to push those big numbers, get her a reason to get in a suit. I mean, I hate suits, and I think they shouldn't be in Strongman, but if we're doing records with the suits, then, I mean, get in one and get pulling, because I think give her a year to get used to a suit, we could see 350 be possible for the women, and I really hope people push her, and I really hope the women's side of the deadlift championships become bigger and bigger, and I really hope that they start breaking into things like the log lift championships, seeing some of the best girls go for a huge log. I mean, I love the women's side of the sport, I watch it all the time, and I really hope we can see them start to push on to these big stages with things like the deadlift, the log lift, and people get excited about it, because I know everyone was excited about Lucy's deadlift, and hopefully we can get more of the women there pushing each other, getting it bigger and bigger. That's what I want to see. So, deadlift out of the way, the big discussion point for today's video. To be honest, the deadlift was the main thing about this show. The rest of the events are probably as cookie cutter Giants Live as you can get, and you'll see from my review that that is exactly how they felt. So next up, we moved on to the car walk, a staple Giants Live implement, and it went pretty much as I expected it to go, with just a few other interesting little quirks that happened. So Mitch destroyed it, easy as pie. We knew that was going to happen. Trey really impressed me on this. After an Achilles rupture, going out and hitting a PB on the car walk, it's ridiculous. He did super well, and I'm hoping this is a new era of Trey that we're seeing. I'm really excited to see that. I think the car walk was good. I think it was a shame that we didn't see more from Evan Singleton. I think he could have really pushed on this one, but he underperformed this show. He's underperformed the last couple. Injuries have been plaguing him a bit, and it's just a shame to see, really. Eddie Williams did well on the car walk as well. Impressed to see him do that. But yeah, it's just a pretty generic event at Giants Live. It looks cool. It's heavy, but there's not much to say about it. There were no upsets. There were no super standout performances. It was just pretty much as we expected. So after that one, another staple event in the dumbbell for reps. Now I have some thoughts on the dumbbell. I mean, for one, it looked awesome. Like, the actual implement itself looked awesome, but horrible. But as for the setup of the event itself, I think two things. I think the dumbbell was either too light or the time limit was too short. We weren't seeing people gas out on the dumbbell too much. We were seeing them run out of time, and it favoured people like Trey and Mitch, who really controlled it down, brought it back up, and were able to get reps efficiently. But I think at this level, all the guys can handle a 110, 120 kilo dumbbell. So perhaps we should have had a heavier dumbbell for reps, so people were gassing out and struggling a bit more, or simply we extend the time limit from 60 seconds to 90 seconds and we see more people gas out with the lighter weight. That's what I think we need to do. Because yeah, it just became a race at the end of the day, and no one wants a rep event to become a race. You want to see people go to their max. So that's just my thoughts on that. Seeing Iron Bibby strict press a 100 kilo dumbbell with one hand was really entertaining. I think a lot of people expected a lot more out of Bibby this event, but I'm just glad to see him do a full show. I think he performed pretty much where I kind of expected him to, where he wouldn't be pushing for a win, but he'd do okay, like he'd do all right. But seeing him strict press a dumbbell just like that is just, it's mental, in it. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the dumbbell. I know a few constructive criticism there, but overall, again, a very solid event, just sort of exactly what we expected, really. So our penultimate event is the Wrecking Ball Hold, and I know this is a controversial one, the Wrecking Ball Hold. You either love it or you hate it. I am in the camp of I love it, but I think we've seen it far too often this year. It seems to be that event that we see every competition. But I really like it as an event. It's not a grip event, and I think we should stop marketing it as a grip event, because every time someone says, how's it a grip event, if you could jam it into your thighs, yeah, it's a grit event. Like, it is who's got the biggest bollocks, basically, who can hold on the longest, block out pain the longest. And in this case, that was Alexei Novikov. The man just locked in, stone-faced, and just held it for a new world record of over 2 minutes. Now, if you've never done an event like that where you've got to hold something for as long as you can, time moves slowly. So that 2 minutes probably felt like about 25. Like, it is ridiculous holding something for over 2 minutes. Now, do we need the wrecking ball to be heavier? Maybe. Because otherwise the record's just going to keep getting longer and longer. And I think it'd help speed the event up a bit if it was a bit heavier. I mean, I think it's 600 and something pounds, the wrecking ball. Perhaps it needs to be 700 pounds, for example, or 300 kilo or something. And we could see more guys struggle quicker with it. And I think it'd just make it a bit more quick, a bit more exciting. I think all these guys can pick it up, and I think holding it at a heavier weight might be better. And I think something that really helps is having an on-screen timer. So that was something the live stream was missing, and it made it hard to follow the event. And I think that was a lot of people's major complaint with it, is they couldn't follow how well people were doing. We were relying on the MCs to tell us what the timings were. So having an on-screen timer for the live stream would have really helped on that. But I love the wrecking ball hold. I think, again, it was a pretty good event. I think it went pretty much exactly how we expected it to go. I mean, Trey stumbling with it and then being able to recover somehow is mental, because, you know, Trey's grip is one of his weakest. So him being able to lock in and do pretty well on this event was great. Really good to see, and I hope he gets that grip sorted and we can see him do more on these grit type of events, because, yeah, I think I just love seeing him perform well, and I think it's great that he did in this show. But that was the wrecking ball hold. Not too many thoughts apart from the fact we need an on-screen timer. Now, by this point in the show, we had lost 4 of the athletes to withdrawing with injuries, cramps, spasms, whatever it is. So the stones were a bit of an underwhelming finish. We only had 6 guys go out for the stones, and it meant that Mitch was locked in first, Trey was locked in second, and it was a bit of a battle for third, which is a shame. And I mean, stones are fairly underwhelming at the best of times because we see them so often. So the fact that it was just a bit of an underwhelming ending was not great, but at least we saw Mitch attempt to go for an actual stone run, and it just proves why I think he probably should go for stone runs more. I mean, obviously, if you've won the show, there's no need to, but doing stones in a high-pressure comp situation is something that you need to get good at, and I think that being out of practice, we saw that he just made a few slips and stumbles, so I think that he'll go back, practice them a bit more, and hopefully he'll get pushed to the point where he does need to do them more. So, yeah, the stones were the stones. I mean, it was a shame we had a lot of athletes pull out. I'll give my thoughts on those in a little bit, but yeah. As far as the podium goes, Mitch in first. I think we all expected that, even when we had the full lineup and we thought they'd all perform well. I think everyone knew Mitch would do well, and I think that he just continues an immense streak of domination that we'll see how long it continues, because it's mental. Seeing Trey in second is really, really pleasing to me. Booked his ticket to Worlds. I mean, I don't think it was ever in doubt that he'd be at Worlds, but yeah, seeing Trey perform was really special. I think it was a great performance. I really enjoyed it, and I mean, that 470 deadlift will live on as one of the best deadlifts ever done. So, yeah, ridiculous. And seeing Eddie Williams on the podium, third place, securing his ticket to Worlds, his first Giants podium, really pleased for Eddie. He proved everyone wrong. There was not one person who was predicting Eddie Williams on the podium, and he came and he proved everyone wrong, and he really showed us what he could do, and I really hope that continues. He's getting better and better every single show, and I want to see him up there as a top 10 guy in the world. So that's the show over. As for the underperforming athletes, I think Novikov and Evan Singleton are both people who just need to take some time off, have a rest, have a recover, have an off season, and come back next year healthy, fit, and at your best. I know Novikov probably needs the paycheck with everything going on in his home country, but if he gets properly injured and has to take time off, you'd rather him not do that and take time off while he's healthy enough to recover and get back close to his best. I think we're just seeing a tired Novikov now, and it's a shame. I want to see him back at his best, because Novikov at his best is a joy to watch. And Evan Singleton, really well at Worlds, had some great performances, but the last couple he's just sort of had some slight niggles, some slight injuries, and I think his explosive and hyped up style of lifting was probably great when he was a lot younger, but now as the years go on, it's becoming more and more of an injury risk. And I think if he took some time to step back, focus on pulling a deadlift slower, less explosively, a bit like he did for the elephant bar, it'd have a greater carryover for his max deadlift and have a lot less injury risk. I think as he gets older, that's something he needs to look at. As for Tom Stoltman, I just think he just focuses on Worlds, and I think he is focused on getting 5 Worlds titles. I don't think, as much as he might say he does, I don't think he really cares that much about Giants Live. I think he comes for the appearance, he comes for the paycheck. I think that he needs to take it seriously or go for the Brian Shaw approach of only turn up to the big shows and really peak for them. I think if he struggles to remain peaked for the smaller shows, then he probably shouldn't do them. I get that people want to see him, and I get that he's a big name, but no one wants to see an underperforming Tom Stoltman. So I think he just needs to rethink his approach a bit, because there's only so many times that it can happen before people start to look on it negatively, and I think people have started to look on it negatively. And I mean, he may have had a very valid injury-related reason to pull out this time, but when you start seeing a pattern, it seems to be that after he's won Worlds for the year, sort of starts to slow down. So hopefully we see him come back, take these shows a bit more seriously, or, you know, take the time off and just focus on the big ones. But yeah, so that's that really. That is my thoughts on the Giants Live USA Strongman Championships and the World Deadlift Championships, the Vegas show. Those are my thoughts on all the events. I have some thoughts on the live stream, which I'm going to go into in just a second, and then we will wrap it up. So I think it was very apparent that with the live stream, it was a bit more of an amateurish production than we are used to at Giants Live, which is a shame, because Giants Live usually have such great quality, but I think it was pretty obvious that perhaps they were working with a new team, they were perhaps working with different equipment, because the colour grading was completely off, the audio had loads of issues, the timings of things where we had the live stream commentators being overshadowed and drowned out by the sound of the MCs and the crowd. It just felt amateurish. The lack of like a timer on the wrecking ball hold, all of that stuff. It just is annoying, because I know this was a lot of people's first Giants live stream, because being the first show in a while in America, a lot of Americans wanted to tune in. And it wasn't representative of what Giants live streams usually are. So hopefully anyone that did sign up for this, watch the other ones, and could see that that's not how it normally is. But it's just a shame. I mean, I'm sure they will fix it for next time, and I'm sure once we're back in the UK, it'll go right back to normal, but it was just a shame. Now, as for Oberst on the mic, I know a lot of people were not happy about this. I thought he did a fine job. It was very clear and apparent that he didn't really know a lot of the guys, and he hadn't been keeping up with Strongman that well. And I think that's fine. He's a big name. He draws in a lot of USA fans. But I think when you've got people in the building such as Martins, Lucas Hatton, Nick Best, I think Nicholas Camby was in the audience. You know, all these people who are so much more knowledgeable about the current state of the sport of strongman, that perhaps having a different one of these guys MC each event, sort of go with their specialties a bit, have Lucas Hatton MC the dumbbell, you know, that sort of thing, would have been a lot better and provided a lot more insight. But I think Oberst was fine. I don't think he was bad. I just think he could have been a bit more knowledgeable. So, yeah, that's what I think about that. I mean, I know a lot of people really don't like Oberst, and he's a polarising character, but I think he did fine here. I think it's fine to criticise him, but I don't think his performance as an MC here was that bad. I think it was all right. So those are my thoughts on the Giants Live USA Strongman Championships and the World Deadlift Championships. I think the best way to sum up this comp in a few words is it was fine. It was entertaining, but it was slightly underwhelming in the end. So the deadlift started off as a bit of a high with Trey pulling 470, Lucy getting a world record, Mitch going for 505. But then when we sort of saw people fail 505 again, everyone sort of became a bit deflated. And then we go into some pretty cookie cutter Giants live events. The hype wasn't really brought back up again. But seeing people perform well, seeing the show do fairly well is always good. But I think ending on that underperforming, 6 people left in the comp, you know, the Stones just were a bit underwhelming at the end. And I think it left a lot of people feeling like they wanted more at the end of the comp. And I think I do as well. I think Giants Live has the ability to be one of the best comps of the year. I think on average, they have the best set of comps for a year. It's just we have up and downs with Giants Live, and I think some of them can be, you know, top tier, the best we've seen. Like the Log Lift Championships was such a good competition. Seeing Mitch dominate and seeing Bibby get a world record. The Strongman Classic was fantastic. Seeing an Axel world record, seeing a lot of highs and all of that stuff. And I just think this one was a bit underwhelming, but that's not a bad thing. Everyone's going to have good comps, everyone's going to have bad comps. So I think this one wasn't even a bad comp. It was a good comp. It just wasn't at the height of some of the ones we've seen. And I think a lot of people on the internet are very quick to be negative about something, and I think this show definitely had far more positives than it had negatives. It's just a shame that we did have a couple of negatives. So I was pretty entertained. I was pleased. I enjoyed it. I'm very much looking forward to Glasgow and the Rogue Invitational. And it's coming soon. A few more comps this year. Really looking forward to them. But I enjoyed it, and those are my thoughts. So, as I mentioned earlier, if this is your first time on the channel and you just wanted to hear me talk about the Vegas show, then please be sure to go on the channel and check out my training content. I love making it, I love training, and it's always good fun to have new people join the community and join the discussion. But if you're just here for the Vegas show itself, then please be sure to go down below, hit like on this video, and yeah, it'll help me out massively. But let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below, and we can have a discussion about what you guys think about this show. But anyway, I've been Toby. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video for more training stuff.